All right, today we're going to dive into a distinction that is so fundamental to reading that honestly, getting it wrong is a huge reason why so many kids struggle. We are talking about phonological versus phonemic awareness, and believe me, understanding the difference changes everything. So let me ask you a question. What if the single most important skill for learning how to read had absolutely nothing to do with actually seeing letters on a page?
Yeah, you heard that right. It's a skill you could teach and a kid could master completely in the dark. Because before sight ever comes into play, there has to be sound. This is the auditory secret to reading.
Now, this idea of reading in the dark, it's not just some catchy phrase. It's a really powerful way to understand that the true foundation of literacy is built with our ears, not with our eyes. So here's the absolute heart of the matter. Being a fluent reader isn't really about having great eyesight. It's all about how well your brain can process the individual sounds that those squiggles on a page represent. You have to get the sounds right first. Then, and only then, will the letters make any sense. To really get our heads around this, we need to start with the big picture. Let's talk about what researchers call the phonological umbrella. Just picture a big umbrella, and under it is everything related to the sounds of language. So phonological awareness, or PA for short, is simply the ability to hear and play with the sound structure of language. And right now, we're talking about the big, chunky parts of language, things like rhymes and syllables. They're the easiest for our brains to grab onto first. And you've seen this in action a million times. When a child hears that cat and hat rhyme, or that silly snakes both start with the same sound, that's it. That's phonological awareness. Or when they clap out the beats in their name like funt, that's PA. It's all about those bigger chunks of sound. What's really cool is that this awareness develops in a super predictable way. Kids first just hear whole words as one blob of sound. Then they start to notice the syllables inside them. Then they can hear the rhymes. And only at the very end of this whole journey do they develop the most precise and the most important skill of all, hearing the tiniest little individual sounds. Okay, so we've been under this big umbrella. Now we're going to zoom in to the sharpest, most focused point under that umbrella, the part that truly unlocks reading. We're talking about the phoneme. And this brings us to phonemic awareness, or PMA. This is the expert-level skill. It's the ability to zoom in with a microscope and hear, identify, and even play with the smallest individual sounds in a word, the phonemes. For instance, it's hearing that the word ship isn't one sound, it's three: sh, I, p. This table just lays it all out so clearly. You see, phonological awareness is the big umbrella. It's about clapping syllables in butterfly. But phonemic awareness is the specific, high-level skill hiding underneath it. It's about being able to blend the sounds sh, o, p together to say shop. One is great for just talking, but the other, it's the absolute non-negotiable prerequisite for learning to read print. So you might be wondering, if phonemic awareness is all about hearing, how does it connect to the visual act of reading? Well, think of it as a bridge. It's the essential bridge that connects the world of sound to the world of print, which is what we call phonics. Let's be absolutely crystal clear on this one. Phonemic awareness is 100% auditory. It's all ears, no eyes. Phonics, on the other hand, is when the eyes get involved. It's all about connecting those sounds you hear to the letters you see. And it's pretty obvious, right? You can't connect a sound to a letter if you can't hear the individual sound in the first place. Let's just walk through this. Look at step 3. You can see the letters C, A, T. And you can even know their sounds. But the magic, the actual act of reading, happens when your phonemic awareness skill kicks in to blend those sounds, k, a, t, into the word cat. Without that blending skill, those letters are just meaningless symbols on a page. And this is why this distinction is such a powerful tool for teachers and parents. If a child knows all their letter sounds but just can't sound out the word dog, well, the problem isn't their knowledge of letters. The problem is auditory. It's a deficit in phonemic awareness. And that tells you exactly what skill you need to work on. Now look, this isn't just a nice theory or some educational fad. It is all backed by decades of rock-solid, replicated research. So let's take a quick look at how the science proves the power of focusing on sound. Get this. One of the most stunning findings from the National Reading Panel is about efficiency.
The absolute most effective, high-impact instruction in phonemic awareness takes less than 20 hours total for a child's entire school career. That's just an incredible return on investment for a skill that can literally change a child's life. But here's a really fascinating twist. While phonemic awareness is an auditory skill, the research is clear. Teaching it with letters, actually showing the letters as you work with the sounds, it nearly doubles its effectiveness. The letters act like little anchors for the sounds, making something abstract feel much more concrete. And here is the bottom line. The scientific consensus could not be clearer on this. The core deficit in dyslexia is a weakness in phonological skills, specifically at that tiny phoneme level. It's a struggle to process the sounds of language, and that struggle is what blocks the ability to read print. So if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. To master the visual act of reading, you first have to master the auditory world of sound. Plain and simple, the ear trains the eye. This all leaves us with one pretty big question, doesn't it? Knowing that this auditory foundation is the key, and knowing that we can teach it so effectively and so efficiently, how can we redesign early education to make sure every single child builds this foundation first, before we ever overwhelm them with the complexities of print?